I remember a time when we had a group and a new group member. It was a mixed age group, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And there was about 10 young men in the student group. We had already established confidentiality, and most of the group members were pretty open, developing that ability. And this new freshman came into the group, and he could sense how open everyone was. He could feel it. And he seemed so hungry for it that he felt encouraged that he could share. And I'll never forget, as he sat during his time to share, explaining to the boys that he had never had a father figure and that he had never had a place where he really felt like he belonged. He'd never had a brother and always had been longing for an older brother, a big brother, to just be there for him. And the group listened to his story, and quietly, respectfully, as he completed his story, one of the older boys got up, walked over, sat down right next to him and put his arm around him. And at that point said to him, "You have brothers here." And I'll never forget as that new freshman young man just broke down and started sobbing. This was one of the first times he'd felt a place where he could belong and where he might be respected with everything he'd been going through. So that's just one example of how group cohesion is so important, and the bonding and the connection with the boys with one another, or the girls if you're working with girls, and how it can dramatically impact someone's spiritual growth. Welcome, I'm Floyd Godfrey. We're going to talk in this video about how to build bonds, strong bonds between group members in your small group. And the concept we would talk about in group development is called cohesion. Cohesion is the group's ability to stick together. You have cohesion in families, in group communities, and specifically in this context, within your small group ministry. The importance of group cohesion is all over the scriptures. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 through 12 talks about this, where the Lord says that two are better than one because they have a good reward for their toil. If one falls, the other lifts him up. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. Just all kinds of evidence in the scriptures. The Lord wants us to work together. He wants us to bond. He wants us to create connections with each other to help each other through life's challenges. So cohesion is really important. How do you build it? Just as a review, you really can't get to this well unless first you've established a safe container. So your group is safe. You've established confidentiality. Everybody's respectful of each other, and there's a confidential spirit in the group. And then you move towards transparency. And now there's an openness in the group within the confidentiality. And group members are being open with each other and sharing with each other. And then you're enabled to be able to create bonds within the group. So respect really encourages cohesion in your group. But let's talk specifically about what that means, because it gets missed oftentimes by group leaders. If you have one group member sharing about something that's very private to them, maybe you have a freshman, you have a small group and you've got a freshman in there and he's struggling about some issue he's had with his parents, and then you have a senior in the group and that seems so basic to him and so unimportant to him. If he can't respect the freshman on that topic, you're going to have some issues. The freshman will feel disrespected. He'll feel like nobody understands. The senior's not going to participate, and you'll have this sort of rivalry for respect going on, and kids will shut down. They just will stop sharing. So you've got to develop respect, and the significance of that in the Christian community, I just can't emphasize enough. We should be respecting others all the time anyway. We ought not to be comparing sins just because one of the group members is struggling with something that seems very serious, and somebody else is struggling with something that doesn't seem as serious. We ought not to be comparing and not judging, giving everyone a lot of grace. Sometimes sharing stories in group about how someone has been through a different situation or a difficult situation can help. Teens often respond very well to stories, so that's a way of promoting respect. Building accountability is the next piece that goes along with respect. It can help, and sometimes you may need to assign different accountability partners or different accountability assignments. So for example, at the conclusion of group, maybe one of the group members has really been struggling with vaping, and they've talked about that with the group, and so you might ask, who in the group today could help him or help her be accountable for his or her goal. They're trying not to vape anymore. Who could call, who could text, who can be accountable, and who could help with that? And assign, ask for volunteers and assign. In other cases, it might be more appropriate to ask the person who's been sharing, who would you like to help you be accountable this week? Can you choose 2 or 3 people that you could check in with, that they could check in with you to make sure and keep you accountable? Accountability raises the level of respect between group members, and it also helps develop that cohesion that you're looking for. Generally speaking, you want students to be checking in with each other anyway during the week. So I would be encouraging that every single week. Text each other, encourage each other, find out how somebody's doing. Johnny and Mervin and RJ have all struggled this week with their parents. Can we all check in with him? So you've got to encourage that checking in, the accountability that way, so it becomes a habit. They need to learn as they're teens how to check in with each other, how to reach out for support when they need it. So let me give you a couple tips as a group leader, how you can help promote cohesion with your students. One thing for sure I would always do when you have a new group member or you have a new group, I would memorize every student's name and something about them. I like to keep a notepad on my phone and I write down the student's name, something about them that will help me remember who they are in their name, what school they go to, and maybe something they mentioned in group, because I'm trying to memorize their situation, their life, and what's going on for them. There's nothing more satisfying for a student to walk into group on the second week and immediately the group leader can recognize them and their name. They want to feel like they belong and they want to feel known. I think as a group leader also, you can go online and Google search briefly just for some icebreakers, some really short 5-10 minute icebreakers, team building activities that you can do in a group setting. Just throw some of those in occasionally. It's fun. It helps break up the monotony of just sitting in a circle. The kids are moving around and they're engaged. So icebreakers can be a really good way of promoting cohesion. As a group leader, it would also be really important for you that you're checking in with the students. Every week, you might throw out a text, a phone call, just to see how each student is doing. Maybe they've discussed something in group you want to follow up with during the week, just to see how they're doing. Is there anything I can pray for you about? Anything I can do for you? You checking in with the students would be really important. I already mentioned earlier having students check in with each other and getting them in the habit of being accountable with each other, checking in with each other. There may be times you need to assign specific students to check in with other students. You may have someone quiet in the group, and then you may have somebody really outgoing and talkative, and maybe you assign them to check in with the quiet student, or vice versa. Help them to learn, and if you need to do assignments and occasional challenges that way, I would do that. Be careful as the group leader that you balance structure in your group with some sense of flexibility. You may need to do a review of the sermon, you may need to do check-ins and some things like that, but be prepared that if one student has had a very difficult week and throws a bombshell out on the group, you may need to spend all of group time helping process through that with the students and other students and help everybody come together and rally around this student to provide support. And then as always, for group cohesion as a group leader, you want to be improving. Ask for the pastor to watch what you're doing. Ask for others' input. Gather other information from other group leaders. How are they doing things? Try and be open to feedback for ongoing continuous improvement as to how you're leading the group. So thanks for watching. I hope this has been helpful to you in talking about how to build stronger bonds between group members and yourself in the group. If you have questions, please leave it in the comments section, or if you have stories. I love to hear stories. It's important for me to hear. I love hearing about the success that everyone is having.